not willing to do anything to get out of debt.
I don't like to have money taken out of my account. I like to be in control of it. It's not, but I like to be in control of when I want to spend my money and on what. And I don't like auto pay.
Oh, I know you like to spend your money.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
So I have two types of debt. I have student loans and I have an auto loan. I have $25,000 left in student loans. I started with 80 in 2016 and I have about 16 or 17,000 left on my auto loan. I got my auto loan about 2 years ago. And the reason that I'm not focused on paying them off super aggressively is because I have really low interest rates on both of those debts.
All right, so with the way the world is in 2025, with inflation being at an all-time high and these jobs not paying people enough, people are still out there not wanting to pay off their debts. And it's not even like they're just forgetting about their debts. They don't want to pay it on purpose, which doesn't make any sense to me, because if you're already complaining about not making enough money and these jobs not paying you enough, why even think about not paying off your debts? At the end of the day, that's just going to be more weight on your shoulders later down the line. Now, that's what this video is going to be about, because I had you guys send me a bunch of different clips of people talking about why they're not paying off their debts in 2025. So we're going to watch these videos together, react to them, and see what they got to say.
They're not even paying their fucking student loan.
And I think they knew we weren't going to. Because I was hella freaking surprised when I got on my bank account to see how much money I had, and I was negative because the Department of Education automatically took my student loan out. I've not paid a student loan since COVID had started, and before that, I would have to get on my computer, go to the website, and pay it myself. I never agreed to have the automatic withdrawal.
So you just thought they was going to give you money and you never had to pay that back? Or let me reword that. You thought they was just going to give you money and you can pay it whenever you wanted to? That's crazy. You said it yourself. You haven't paid since COVID, meaning it's been a couple years now. They want their money. Regardless if you check the button that says, I want you to take the money, they're going to take it whenever they want it. And with you not paying it for so long, it was just a matter of time before they came and snatched their money back.
Aggressively. So I have two types of debt. I have student loans and I have an auto loan. I have $25,000 left in student loans. I started with 80 in 2016 and I have about 16 or 17,000 left on my auto loan. I got my auto loan about 2 years ago. And the reason that I'm not focused on paying them off super aggressively is because I have really low interest rates on both of those debts. My auto loan is currently at 3.99% and my student loans are at 2.66% because I refinanced them back in 2021. For the last 2 or 3 years, I've been using some cashback rewards from a credit card to send some extra money towards my student loans, but I'm not super pressed about doing that anymore. Reason being is because I switched to a travel credit card and I'd rather use that. I can also put money in some type of savings account, even just a high yield savings account, and earn like 5% on that. And that's a couple points higher than what my debt is earning on interest. I'm all about keeping the most money in my pocket, so that's my philosophy on it right now. Let me know if you have any questions.
So while putting your money in a high yield saving account can be a good thing, if you're not actually working towards making progress, it doesn't mean anything. And to add on, when she said she's not paying her debts off aggressively, I don't know what that means exactly, because aggressively can just be you adding more money to the principal of the balance, right? A lot of people focus on the interest that they're paying and over time how much they're going to pay on the interest, but nobody focuses on the actual principal balance on what they have to pay off over time, right? So if you just put money towards the principal, that lowers things down drastically. A lot of people don't even think about that.
I don't like to have money taken out of my account. I like to be in control of it. It's not, but I like to be in control of when I want to spend my money and on what. And I don't like auto pay.
Oh, I know you like to spend your money.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
And yeah, it's closed anyway, so I didn't see like a benefit. And like,
you want to know benefit? Right now you're getting charged $40 in fees, $9.86 in interest.
Oh my gosh. I just did not realize that one was that bad.
There it is, past due fee, $40, and you're going to get slammed these every month, and you have 170 this year so far.
Oh my gosh.
And it's sitting there at a 30.74% interest rate, and you're not touching it. You refuse to acknowledge it even exists.
Yeah.
You're just like, if you don't think about it, it'll go away. Well, to be very clear, you're not a credit card person. Never use a credit card. Are you in school?
Yes.
Okay, then just use the Fizz card, dude. It's what I recommend to everyone on the show. So if you're obsessed with the credit score thing, it helps you there.
Yeah.
But you need a charge card that's automatically paid off. You cannot have access to like full on credit. It's just, it is not working for you.
It's crazy. There's so many people out there like that who don't want the money coming out their accounts without their permission, pretty much. Right? If they didn't authorize the payment by pressing a button, they don't want the money coming out. And that's a bad way to go about paying off bills or paying off debt, because you end up more in debt when doing things like that. You end up forgetting about a payment. You miss something. You don't have the money to pay it, so you don't pay it. Just watching that clip, she didn't even know she had all those interest payments being added onto her credit card bills. So the same person who doesn't like money just coming out of their account without their permission has extra money coming out of their account because they're not given permission for the money to be taken out. What sense does that make?
I'm not willing to do anything to get out of debt.
Listen, I understand. This was us in 2022. I felt like we were never going to get ahead of it. We had $30,000 of debt. It was always growing. Every time we paid off a little, something else would get added. It just felt like it was always there. And we were like, we're just going to have to live with it. I woke up in 2023, something in the beginning of January 2023, and was like, we have to pay it off. I was pregnant with our second son. I have always known that I wanted to homeschool. And I think just this thought of like, one day I want to homeschool, which means that I could want to quit my job. There's definitely no chance of me quitting a job and us being on one income if we still have an $800 minimum payment each month. And let me just say the $800 minimum was not even moving the needle. It was like you pay off a little, you put a little on, it always stays there. We worked so hard for 6 months. It's not a long time, but it was a very hard time for us. We were both working full time. We already had our firstborn. I was working 3 contract jobs. Matt was working a second. He was taking over like all of the nighttime shift. We were not messing around. And the goal was to finish by the time our second son was born. And let me say, we finished less than 10 days before he was born. And I can't tell you what a relief it has been ever since then. That was last June is when we finished. I feel like on one hand, before I was like, I don't want to be a slave to paying off this debt, so let's just keep it at the minimum. Just in the back of my head, this anxiety of figuring out money, of feeling like we're never getting ahead, of all these things. It was a terrible 6 months, and I don't think that it's not great that any of us are in this point, and it's not like we were buying all these random things and accumulating all this. Like we were very logical with our purchases and still ended up here. I feel so much better now. And let me just say, I say all this to say, you don't know what life is coming for you. And I don't say this from an anxious point, but just saying that September, August, I found out that I was going to get laid off in November. I can't tell you what I would have felt if that had happened 6 months before, or if we had never paid off the debt. I can't even imagine my mental state. And you just never know what life's going to throw you. So all that to say, you're always going to be tired. You're always going to be busy. It's always going to be inconvenient. And ultimately, that's why we did it when we did it, is because we were like, it's not going to get easier when we have 2 kids or 3 kids or whatever. And being laid off and already being anxious about having a job in general and finding a job. But that being on top of having a credit card payment that big, it just wouldn't have happened. We would have been completely screwed. So all this to say, it's inconvenient, yes. I hate that this stuff happens and that debt catches up to you and all the things. But I will always be an advocate to work hard so you can be relaxed later, because it has been so worth it to not have any debt and also to have more wiggle room in our budget to finally have savings, shocking, to finally be able to save for a car, to be not as stressed when I'm laid off. All of the things, definitely worth it. I don't love rice and beans for every meal, but we budgeted so hard. We canceled every subscription. We did all the things. We did no spend days. We did all the things, worked extra jobs, and it was possible and it was worth it. And you can do it fast if you're committed.
See, I like that mindset. If you work for it, if you set a goal for yourself, anything's possible. With 10 days to spare, they got everything paid off. And that's because they set a goal for themselves. They set a goal of wanting to have it done by a certain time. If you give yourself that time, a goal, you're basically setting a fire under your ass, right? So as soon as that fire is set, you have to start going, and you can't stop because the fire is always catching up to you. So yeah, I really like that mindset right there. If you have debt, as long as you're working on getting it done, as long as you're making some sort of progress, making some sort of goal for yourself, you're on the right track.